Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Beyond the Stage El Paso, where we get together with local talent. Today, I'm with Rael, a local Latin pop artist here in El Paso, Texas. He's an old friend of mine. I'm really excited to have him on. We crossed paths recently, and it only made sense for us to get on the podcast again, talk to each other, and have a great time. But honestly, man, I've known you for so long. I'd love the people to get to know who you are, get to experience your charisma and stuff. So, instead of me just talking about you on and on and on again, I'd love for you to just take the mic and take it away, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a great platform to get started. This is actually my first performance for my artistic career as a Latin pop artist. So I'm very excited.
Oh, well, welcome. I'm glad we could be your first stage, and hopefully a lot of people can tune in and hear you. And, your second one, your third one, and your fourth performance will come shortly after.
Absolutely.
So I met you, I want to say in like 2010, a long time ago, and it was a very different set of circumstances. What kind of brought you to this world of Latin pop artists as opposed to educational standpoint?
Yeah, so we met in marching band.
Yeah.
In your high school. So I was already in college at that point. And I was studying music ed. I got my bachelor's and my master's in that. But actually, since a young age, I've always been very inclined to singing. It just never happened. Like, I'm not sure by the time you were in high school, they already had a choir teacher, but when I was there, they didn't. Mm-hmm. So it never happened for me. It was always band. And in my head, or at least what they told me, they're like, oh, when you get to college, you'll be able to sing in the choirs and learn how to properly sing, because I had never had any vocal lessons, no proper training. And it didn't happen. They were like, oh, yeah, we don't take beginners at this point. So I just stuck to flute. I had gotten pretty good at it. So I thought that was like the right path. Parents are telling you to go to college, and that's what I was good at. So I kept going. I did teach for 9 years. But the whole time I was like, this is not me. This is like, I love music, and it technically is music, but I need to be performing. And it was nice to cultivate a culture of music in my students and get them performing, but I was still feeling like I was missing something. So I finally made a change and took a change in my career to do something else that didn't take up so much of my time like marching band did. Mm-hmm. And I started writing. I started taking my singing career a little more seriously. And then up until COVID, I had wanted to do one song in Spanish, because everything else was in English. And it kind of started off like a little project to see what I sounded like. And then from there on, I was like, okay, this is where I belong. Like, this is me. And here we are. Fast forward a couple years later, after all the COVID madness, and I'm ready to start.
Wow. So I know we'll hear you perform a little bit at the end of the episode, but would you mind sharing what song that was that you wanted to try out?
Yeah, so the first song that was like the project song, it was called Provócame.
Okay.
And I don't know, the way I songwrite is interesting. I don't know if other people songwrite like this, but like just in conversations, or if I'm watching a show or something, like words just kind of like stand out to me, or phrases. Mm-hmm. More than melodies. Like, it's more about the words or the lyrics. And this word kept popping up, like Provócame, and I would hear like here and there and there. I was like, I need to write a song called Provócame. And I just didn't know how to get started in this genre. So I finally found a producer. His name's Juan Arellano. Shout out to Juan. And he helped me, and we got started on it. And I told him like what the vibe was, and he's an amazing producer, and got the hook started for me. And then he's like, all right, I got you started, now you got to finish it. Yeah. And it was a struggle, because my Spanish has always been like Pocho or Spanglish, El Paso Spanish. A no sabo kid. Very proud of it. But yeah, it was a struggle, and he would like coach me like, no, you can't say this, because if we ever go like deep down into Mexico, they're gonna like attack you for what you said. And I was like, okay. I guess here in El Paso is a little more lenient on all the back and forth between English and Spanish, but No, I took it very seriously, and I liked the way it sounded, and it came out great.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Is that one of the ones you're doing today?
Yeah, that'll be
Oh,
the
good.
first song I do for you guys, and then it kind of like started like a more of a project, and I hired him for I guess an album, or like an 8-song album,
Mm-hmm.
and then when COVID started, I had the idea what the concept of the songs or the message that I was trying to say, but I had like writer's block, like we're stuck inside, the whole
Yeah.
COVID thing. So I actually booked a flight to Miami,
Oh, wow.
and just to get the vibe, like just to be out there in a hotel. There was pool parties still, and people were playing like just like Latin music, and it was this one song by Bad Bunny and J Balvin, La Canción, and just hearing that and just chilling by the pool, it got me like vibing again. Finally, I started writing, and more songs came out. So that from that trip, I'll also be singing that song. It's called Me Voy,
Mm.
and then my most current song, I'll sing for you guys.
Oh, cool. So, I'm curious. You come from like a flute background, right? That's
Right.
what you had mentioned. Is there any influences that you pull from your your time playing the flute, your time in school, and all that scholastic stuff? Does it transfer over,
Yeah.
or is it just like you shoot from the hip sometimes? And you said something that was not strange, but it was different, that you don't fixate on melody as much as you do the words. But as a flute player, you play so many melodies, and you are the melody a lot of the times. The trumpets and flutes play the main thing all the time.
Right.
But for you don't work that way, which is kind of strange for me to hear you say that. But
Yeah.
do they go hand in hand with each other sometimes?
They do. For me, the easy part is melody because, like you said,
Mhm.
I grew up with it in my ear, since I was little. So the way I song right now is like I fixate more on words, and once I get the concept of what I'm writing about, then the melodies just come after that.
Gotcha.
But there are in Me Voy, the second song I'll perform for you, that it has me playing the flute. So
Oh, really?
it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you still play often, or you just kind of have it there and you'll pull it out?
I just have it there and pull it out. I actually was thinking of auditioning for the Marines this past year on flute, and then it didn't happen. But I was preparing for it. And I was like, oh my god,
Really?
I'm so out of shape.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I was my spouse and I were both Marine musicians.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do it.
She played clarinet, and I was a percussionist there.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so it's a small world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
No,
sure.
yeah, I absolutely loved it. Everybody has their own opinions
Mhm.
on the Marines in general, and then Marine music. But yeah, I loved it. It was a great time. I would have gone sooner if I could have. It was a fucking blast. Everything about it was great. Yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend. But it looks like you're doing well now. It looks like you're killing it, doing what you're doing. So you started this like pop journey kind of later in life.
Yeah.
And if you've watched the episodes before, if you've seen any of them, one of the questions I like to ask a lot of these artists is, what feedback or what knowledge could you give younger artists that are starting out? Just anybody, doesn't matter age, it just matters in terms of where they are in their career. What advice would you give to them when they're starting, whether it be learning an instrument, writing lyrics, doing something? Is there something that you've learned along this path that you feel could be useful to them?
Absolutely. Just do it. Like it sounds like super simple. But I think one of the things that kept holding me back was like, no, well, what about this? And what, like, all that self-doubt really slows you down. So my best advice to anyone starting out or thinking of starting, they're not sure, like just do it. Like, start somewhere. When I kept getting all these no's, even just from like the school system, like, no, we don't have a choir. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. I don't know if you remember Roxy saxophone. Well, anyways, she brought me into the church world. Like, hey, well, we can sing in the church choir. And that's where I started like opening up more, because like my whole childhood I was afraid to sing and actually it was for medical reasons. Growing up, my lungs weren't fully developed, so I would get in trouble if I was singing because I would get asthma attacks.
Oh.
So finally in high school, my lungs were nice and healthy, and that's when I wanted to sing more, and she's like, no, well, let's just sing at church. So started singing there, and little by little just kept progressing a little bit more, still with that fear. But I feel that if someone were to have pushed me, like, yeah, let's just do it a little bit more, then I probably would have progressed to this career faster.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I love the just do it mentality, man. But how did you mentioned there was a lot of no's, and you know, how did you deal with not just giving up? You know, after so many no's, you know, sometimes it's just easier to, you know, quit and just say, you know what, after this no, it's over, you know. How did you find the motivation to just keep going?
Well, I think a lot of it is intrinsic. Like, I think you could probably relate with this. Like, you know what your purpose is. Like, since a small age, like, you're just musically inclined. I've always known, like, it's singing since I was like 5. Like, that's what I'm gonna do. And you know, life happens. Like, nothing in life is perfect. You're gonna have all these obstacles, whether it's a medical reason or there's no choir, or you go to a show and audition, they say no. Like, yeah, sure, you can say like, okay, it's no, I'm gonna go be a librarian or whatever. But I don't know, like, it's just something within me that I've always known. Like, all right, maybe it's a no for right now, but I gotta figure out the next step and the next step and the next step. Like, I've never taken a no like that seriously. Yeah. It's just for that moment or for that show or for that class. It was a no, but I don't know.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, that in itself is a lot of, you know, it's easier said than done sometimes, but it's definitely good advice to just keep on going and keep moving. So shifting a little bit to the left over here. In terms of advice, that was great advice. In terms of goals for you, what would be your next goal? Like your next current, you know, I'd like to get this in the next year. Where would you like to go from here?
You know what? I did achieve one of my goals when I was writing my newest songs this year. I've always wanted to chart on the iTunes chart. And when I released Verano this past June, it charted at number 76 just for a day. Wow. But I was very excited. So I think I want to like at least do that for each single that I release from here on out. Mm-hmm. And hopefully a little bit longer than just a day. I want to get back. I was a member of the Grammys a while back, so I want to get membership again. But I have to release a little bit of more music and then get back on that, get on that level, and hopefully one day get nominated and maybe even win. Yeah,
that'd be awesome, man. Yeah. So that's cool. So I had a artist a few episodes ago. He wanted to do the Super Bowl. Oh wow! He said he would love to be on the Super Bowl. And his name was Bryson. We'll link him over here. He was a couple episodes ago, but yeah, he wanted to do the Super Bowl. He wanted to do it with Drake and The Weeknd. I think he said he would want to do it with. But he also wanted to win a Grammy. So Justin, and you know, kind of in the same direction right now. If you had to do the Super Bowl or you were able to do the Super Bowl, who do you think you'd want to do it with?
No doubt, Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber?
Yes.
All right. That could be fun. Is it just because you want to meet Justin Bieber? Or you just think like you and him would hit it off?
Yes and yes, and because he hasn't done it either. Yeah. So I think that would be iconic, and he is one of my influences, as well. Other people I would like they're not here with us anymore, but it would have been Michael Jackson or Selena. Yeah. But the people that are here, I think for sure Justin Bieber.
That'd be good. I could see that. You guys got similar hair right now, I guess.
I gotta do
that. That's funny. That's cool, man. So, you know, it's funny because we go back a long ways, but I've also been gone a long time. Yeah. So, your students and stuff, have they ever come to you and, you know, been like, hey, you know, I want to do this. I want to, kind of start singing. Have you ever shared this part of your life with any of your students, past or present, that it is possible as long as you kind of work?
Yeah, there's always been the interest in singing. Some of them have become like music majors, and it's nice to see. Some of them have started as band people and then became vocal music majors. There's some that are active still. It's hard to keep track of everybody, It's like, oh my God, but I try my best to support when I can. If they have shows or a release or something, I gotta support.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I originally wanted to start this podcast to support local musicians and give people a voice. And you're kind of the epitome of it. You said this is your first time performing and stuff. And, that's cool. I'm super about it. A lot of the times I always say we get locked into our bedrooms where we just perform in our rooms all the time. And that's as far as we get, but we never take that leap, into doing it in front of somebody. And, this is still a room, but, at the end of the day, it's being seen by other people. So it's like a nice way to just, it's a nice way to kind of jump into a performance without having to maybe see all the crowds or maybe having to deal with all of that. But, this is great. I fully believe we all got to support each other. It's funny, when I got here, El Paso was either really supportive or really not. And it was like people either really wanted you to succeed or people didn't want to share shit with you because they didn't want you to, be better with them. And, in doing this podcast, I've met a lot of people. I've met a lot of artists, and, some artists were like, I was welcomed with open arms. And, initially I had seen a group, and I told this story on the first episode of the second season with Jason Grant Henderson, that when I got here, I wanted to give some advice to some band that I was hearing because it sounded bad. Like the front of house sounded bad. But they were running their sound, and I was like, hey, you guys are good, but your mix is bad. I was like, there's a couple things you can do really quick to fix it. And they're like, oh, thanks, we got it covered already. And I was like, okay. And I was like, it sounds bad out there, man. Like it sounded good up close, but the second everything blended in the crowd, it sounded like dog shit. And I was like, all right, I guess. Like I wasn't trying to be a dick, I was like, hey, you could fix this really quickly. You just got to EQ some stuff. But it was what it was. And, I'm not here to, if you don't want my help, I'm not going to give it to you, like I'll gladly give you any knowledge that I have and share it. But if you don't want it, I'm not going to beg for you to listen to me,
Right.
And it was weird. The music scene here was kind of good and like kind of shitty at the same time. But and just meeting a bunch of different people, it's very clear that everybody just wants everybody to succeed.
Right.
There's just going to be a few bad eggs every now and then, and I'm really happy that so many people have expressed interest in being in the podcast and being on these episodes because it helps build a community, like I've had previous guests of mine link up to do shows together. I've had previous guests, be like, hey, we'd like to do this. And in the future, we have a couple venues wanting to come on to kind of, let other artists know like, hey, we book too, like come here and, maybe get on stage and stuff. And I'm really excited that this whole podcast idea is starting to grow a little bit and, it's getting some traction. So, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate all the artists that are coming on in the future and all the artists that have been on. But really, man, I think you guys inspire a lot of new artists. You know what I mean? Like, I think showing your vulnerabilities like this, I think everything that you guys do really helps. So, I only bring up the point that it's your first performance here because a lot of people feel like you need to be super established to come on.
Right.
And that's not what this is about. This is about telling your story. This is about hearing about you and your struggles and, your successes. And then at the end of it, hearing you perform, So anybody watching, just do it, just come on. And I'm not going to tell you suck. I'm not going to, You
can tell me. And I'll keep working.
But this is a growing opportunity for all of us. Everybody involved is doing stuff. I make mistakes on the podcast, If we make a mistake, luckily editing's the key.
There we go.
But everything's fun here. Everything's relaxed, and that's the way music should be. And I love that music as a community brings a bunch of people together.
It really does. It's a beautiful thing, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Before we head out or anything, is there any upcoming performances that we might be seeing you at? Are you trying to book right now?
I am trying to book, and this one of the purposes of today's performance, hopefully get some networking going, because I do want to start performing more as I release more singles and put more music out there. So I'm definitely in the game to put my name and face out there.
Good.
More.
Cool, man. So you're still looking, you're booking, you're trying to get everything ready. Where can, if somebody's interested in finding you, obviously we'll promote you. We'll have your socials, but you want to let them know where they can find you directly?
Yeah. So all of my socials, it's at officially Rael, Rael. And I do have a website that's going to be launching super soon, where you're able to contact me, see where I'm going to be performing, all the links to my music, all the links to my socials, and that's rael.com.
Okay. All spelled the same way?
Yeah, Rael.com.
Perfect, man. Well, I really hope, if nothing else, you get maybe a couple gigs out of this. And,
For sure.
I'm sure after they hear you perform, people are going to be, coming to you and trying to see when they can book you. I really hope that for you. And, I see it in your future.
If I need a drummer, I'm going to hit you up.
Thanks. I appreciate that. But cool, man. Do you have anything else for them?
No.
No, you ready to get this first performance on the road?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you made it this far, we're about to hear Rael perform 3 of his songs tonight. One of them was his, first single. Another one was this Train, and then the third one's a surprise for us right now. So stand by. We're about to kick this, and have a great performance, man. Good luck on your first one.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
What's up, you guys? My name's Rael, and this is my song, Provócame. Baby, con una mirada me enloqueces, diario te quiero tener. Me tienes bajo control cuando tú mueves la cadera y yo no sé qué voy a hacer para que sepas lo que siento. Soy adicto a tu piel, no nos quedamos solo, dímelo. Tell me what's on your mind, dime lo que piensas, yeah. Come on now, don't be shy, baby. Provócame, mujer. A cada rato me pierdo en tu piel. Tal vez estoy equivocado y no sé qué es lo que voy a hacer si no te tengo como ayer, bebé. Mientras estás aquí, provócame. Me conquistaste, baby, con solo una mirada. Yeah, you're driving me crazy. Si no me dices nada, vamos a solas. Conmigo te pones a sudar. Es normal que tú quieras que yo te haga a mi manera, Vamos a solas. Conmigo te pones a sudar. Es normal que tú quieras que yo te haga a mi manera. Provócame, mujer. A cada rato me pierdo en tu piel. Tal vez estoy equivocado y no sé qué es lo que voy a hacer si no te tengo como ayer, bebé. Mientras estás aquí, provócame. Watching me, temperature is rising. I can see it in your eyes. Hey. Thank you. All right, and my next song is called Me Voy. Hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. Lo nuestro empezaba inocente. Todo era feliz pero jugabas con mi mente. Daba todo pero nunca suficiente. Ahora lloras porque tú ya no me tienes. De repente me di cuenta tú y yo somos tóxicos. Y me despido de tus juegos, no me sigas, te lo ruego, te digo adiós. Aquí yo mejor me voy. No me busques a mí, yo pa' ti no estoy. Como avión yo volar, tu corazón de hielo no lo quiero y se acabó, y se acabó. No me digas que, no me digas que ahora te arrepientes. That you're sorry and you don't know what you're feeling. Mi corazón rompiste, you broke my heart in pieces. Y tal vez esto es bendiciones disfrazadas. Ponte en mi lugar y dime si aguantas. No puedes llorar si te hago falta. Puedes irte cuando te dé la gana. No regreses si te fallan y te fallan. De repente me di cuenta tú y yo somos tóxicos. Y me despido de tus juegos, no me sigas, te lo ruego, te digo adiós. Aquí yo mejor me voy. No me busques a mí, yo pa' ti no estoy. Como avión yo volar, tu corazón de hielo no lo quiero y se acabó, y se acabó. Si te veo aquí, yo mejor me voy. No me busques a mí, yo pa' ti no estoy. Como avión yo volar, tu corazón de hielo no lo quiero y se acabó, y se acabó. Thank you so much. Si me llamas no contesto, no necesito de tus besos. Baby, sin ti estoy contento. Este verano es mi momento. Nos vamos pa' la playa con el corazón partido. Party está on fire, pero siento un poco frío. Soy un guerrero del amor. Verano, febrero está cabrón. Seco como un desierto, ya no soy tu Romeo. Ya no te deseo. Cada día celebrando en la playa. Mala mía, alguien nuevo en mi cama. Seco como un desierto, ya no soy tu Romeo. Ya no te deseo. Cada día celebrando en la playa. Mala mía, algo nuevo en mi cama. Como un desierto, ya no te deseo. Mala mía. Como dice, si me llamas no contesto. No necesito de tus besos. Baby, sin ti estoy contento. Este verano es mi momento. Si me llamas no contesto. No necesito de tus besos. Baby, sin ti estoy contento. Este verano es mi momento. Oh. Rael. Thank you so much. Beyond the Stage.